Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wine and Wisdom with Lauren and Tara. Is that the right way?
Are we getting better at that? Probably not.
I think that was actually quite good. And today we're talking about
money.
Yes.
Money. I just spilled wine all over myself.
First ever Wine and Wisdom unboxing. So, rosé mix.
Charged us like $50 for this. I thought it. Lauren's a lightweight, so she'll be drunk for sure. If we do it, what are you laughing at?
Look at your feet. Why do they look like that?
It's a Niagara wine. It's not that fancy. Specifically,
payment to my phone.
You just got a payment to your phone?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, I'll try to manifest some money too. Well,
Yeah.
So like Tara and I have both had pretty, big money months as entrepreneurs. Lots of like lots of like 20K months. We've both had. I think I was like my biggest month was 24,800 or something like that. And you've had something up around that as well.
Yeah. It was like 25K, but I would need to go back and look at the exact numbers. But
yeah. But we're pretty familiar with like $20,000 months. Like I don't know how many of those I've created at this point. It's not uncommon for me, and I think the same thing for Tara as well. And so, do we want to talk first about what sort of like our old money story was, or what our old money reality was?
Yeah. Should I go first?
We're really polished. Yes.
Okay. My money story was that, I've always really believed in having bigger numbers, and I never I kind of knew when I opened my gym, okay, so it's really interesting. I find that our money stories really resemble our parents' money stories. Mm-hmm. And I always thought if I can make $100,000 a year, that's amazing. That's all I wanted. And I remember the first year I opened the gym, it was 40 and then 80 and then 100 and then 120, and it just kind of went up ever since. And then it's funny because just because I make more money doesn't mean I have more money, which is something that I'm still kind of working on at this current time. Is I'm very good at manifesting lots of money, but keeping it is another thing that I'm focusing on at the moment. But anyway, so my old money story was I can manifest money, but I'm not good at saving it, or I always just have enough anyway, or I didn't really realize how easy it could be until I started shifting my mindset. And I remember last January, I was like, oh my God, there's people out there that make $16,000 a month. I'm going to do that. And I just did it that month the first time. And then it was 20, 22. And it was so cool. And I remember telling my parents, and they were like, don't talk about that online.
That's their money story though, right?
Yeah.
Which is we're greedy if we want too much, or if we have too much. Rich people are evil, or money is the root of all evil, or whatever it is. My money story, or my money reality for a really long time, similar to Tara, it's sort of I have money for everything that I need. I can always pay my bills. Sometimes those bills went on a credit card when I was younger and I actually didn't have the money. I always paid my bills, but there was never extra. And if I wanted something, I usually went into debt or had to scrimp and save for it. I didn't know what it felt like to have an abundance of money, or it was always this feeling of limitation around money. I want to do this thing. I want to have this thing, but I can't because money. Right? Money is just always top of mind sort of growing up.
Yeah.
And so then when I started getting into law of attraction, manifestation, all that kind of stuff, that was when I started being we can have more. We can align with more, and there are lots of people doing it. And I started watching other women, online who are entrepreneurs who were freaking killing it, and they're making, way more than 25.
It's so inspiring to see other women entrepreneurs online. That's what inspired me too, to realize oh my God, this is possible. That's even a thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that made me start working towards, wanting to make more and aiming to make more, there definitely was a little bit of a journey there where I spent money. I went into debt to start my business, and then I started freaking out over having debt, and then I attracted more and more debt. There's definitely something to be said about practicing your vibration around money, your energy around money, and getting into a new money story and practicing it until it's secure for you, right? And so I didn't really do that. I kind of just jumped into debt, and then I was freaked out by it, and I couldn't pull myself out of it because I didn't have a new money story yet that was very solidified for me.
Yeah. Or probably a process to create a new money story like mine.
Yes. Yeah. I was so new to all the world of manifestation stuff that I just didn't have the tools. Right. Yeah. Like mine. Now it's so quick. It's so easy for me I have a fearful thought about money. I switch it. It's done. That's it. And I have changed the story on a very identity level or subconscious level. I know that there's always more than enough. I know that I'm always taken care of. I know that it always shows up, even when it looks like it's not going to.
Always.
There's never a need to worry about money. That is, really where I stand now. And I would say what took me out of the old money story and into the new one where I'm able to create these bigger money months was, a lot of intentional visualization of having more money. We get what we focus on, right? Yeah. So when I was focused on debt, I got more debt. When I was focused on the growth of my business, and I had to do that very intentionally with meditation sessions and visualizing every single day, it started to shift quickly because my focus was shifting. But I think this is what people, they know about manifestation, but they're not actually tell us about your new cat, Tara. Tara manifested a new cat this week.
It's a little bit annoying. Okay.
Anyways, so
visualization, intentional.
Yeah, visualization. So things started to shift because I was shifting what I was focusing on. And now it's now I'm really starting to focus on bigger money months, 50K months. Yeah. So, Tara was always sort of a entrepreneur, and you grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. For me, I always very much had the employee mindset. And so there was a lot of work around shifting that. Mm-hmm. We want to tell a couple of sort of specific stories. So I had my biggest money month this past April. I think I'm gonna do more than that this month. It's in the works. Yeah, but this is gonna become my biggest money month. But this past April, and it was such a good example of how powerful it is to shift your story, because I was doing really well in January and February. I was having consistent 20K months. And then March, COVID hit and everyone freaked out. And in March, I started being worried that people weren't going to want to buy, pay for these services anymore. There was so much uncertainty. Mm-hmm. People were losing their jobs. And I started telling this story of oh my God, what if, I can't support this life now that I've created for myself? And my income in March started going down. It was still a successful month, relatively speaking. I think I did 13K or something, but it was because COVID only hit halfway through, right? So it was making lots of money, and then COVID hit, and it was this. So in April, or at the end of March, I was no, I create my reality. I can tell a new story. And the story that I started telling was, I'm going to make more money during this time than I ever have before. There are people now who are saving money, who didn't lose their jobs, who are saving money because they don't have to commute or they're not traveling anymore. And there's a lot of people who now know that they want to make money online and they want to, use this time as an opportunity. So I'm going to cater to them. And I started really telling that story and had an idea for a program launch that was specifically for online entrepreneurs. And that was really, really successful for me. It was a very aligned launch where people just bought all the spots right away. And that was almost $25,000 month.
I feel
just a perfect example. Tell a different story, ignore the outside circumstances. You get to choose what it is that you're vibrating with, or what it is that you're creating through the story that you're telling. This is everything we do inside Mind Magic. And it was very much I was doing it intentionally inside Mind Magic. And then that ended up being my reality.
Yeah, I feel that is such a good example of manifestation, where it's okay, this is my intention. I'm going to look at all these reasons why you believe that it wouldn't work, and you disproved all of them, and then you vibrated at that feeling, and then the idea came for such an aligned, we forget that ideas and thoughts are actually manifestations, and they are like the crumbs along the way of the manifestation. So it's like when Lauren set that intention and started tuning into it, she had the idea for this course, which is like the beginning of the manifestation, and it like kind of gains momentum from there. Yeah. So if you're starting to like feel differently or have new ideas or things like that, like you are totally on the right path with your manifesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us maybe, I mean, Tara has done a lot of like, I want this amount of money to like pay off my credit card, or I want this amount of money to go to Bali or hire this coach.
Yeah. I feel like those are more exciting. Like I've done different mind magics where like I make thousands of dollars a day, and I remember one time I think I did make like $1,000 a day for like 18 days and had an 18K month kind of thing, like around there. And that was really cool. But I feel like my more kind of like exciting manifestation stories are when I'm like, okay, I remember the first time I discovered manifestation. I found this free 5-day manifestation challenge from Manifestation Babe. And it was like set an intention for something that feels kind of like out of your reality. And at this point I was running my gym and I wanted to pay off my credit card, and my credit card was $3,500. So I was like, okay, like I want to pay off my credit card. I visualized it, I felt into it, and I like waited for the inspiration to hit. And before I had the inspiration hit, I tried to force it, which is like such a good example of not forcing it. And I sent out this email to a bunch of clients, and I was like, oh, do you want this $3,500 personal training package, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, no. So then I was like, okay, I'm just going to feel the feelings. Like, oh my God, I paid off my credit card. This is so exciting. Manifestation works, yada, yada, yada. And then the very next day, one of them did email me back and was like, actually, I'd like to take a portion of that. Like, can I pay for half of it? And at that time I was thinking like, I was manifesting like $3,500 in a lump sum. So that was my first realization around the world of like, you can't control the how, it needs to be open to all the possibilities. So he gave me $2,500 or something around that. And then the coolest part of the story is that I was still in my manifestation closet. Like people knew that I liked to do vision boards, but like they didn't know anything that I was into all this stuff. And somebody just sent me a message on Facebook. Like a random person was like, oh my God, you should host a vision board workshop. And I was like, ooh, that feels like a really aligned idea. And like, since I've learned more about my human design, like I'm a projector, we're meant to wait for the invitation. And like when we wait for the invitation, things are so easy. And this was such an example of it being so easy. Was like, I put one post on my Facebook page, 40 people signed up immediately and made me the other $1,000 that I needed. And it was within 3 days, and I paid off my credit card. And that's when I was like, manifesting works, and I'm going to Bali. And then it like started the next round. So I feel like I go through these phases of like, okay, I got to manifest money to pay off my credit card, and I visualize it, I feel into it, and things just happen that are so crazy. And yeah, that's like my best kind of money manifesting stories.
Yeah.
And like,
and I think that like, I mean, what we teach in Mind Magic is we talk about this process of visualizing, of feeling into it, and then waiting for the inspired ideas, the opportunities to come your way, but also through like that, the whole telling of a new story, basically you're disproving for yourself everything that might come up that would block what it is that you want. Right.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of work through the things that I was telling myself as to why I couldn't make a lot of money during COVID. Right. And look at like, is this actually true? Because the things that we use as excuses or reasons why it can't happen, like there are no truths in this world. There's only what you believe to be true. Right. So for the people who during COVID decided that, it was going to be a really hard financial time, and they were telling that story, like that ended up being their reality. Right. And not to downplay like how hard a time this has been for a lot of people, but there's also been people who decided to tell a story of opportunity. And I know people who have brick and mortar service-based businesses that had to completely shut down. And they were like, okay, well, I can't go this long without income. So how can I innovate? And now out of this, they have a completely like different financial reality because of what they created during COVID, the story that they were telling, the, reasons or the limiting beliefs that they decided to let go of, and the choice that they made.
Yeah, it's so true. Like we can let these things, I mean, this is like what manifestation is in a nutshell. It's like you can let the limiting beliefs overtake you, or you can write a new story and be very like intentional about your thoughts. And like, I have a client who is like one of the number one dog grooming. Well, she is the number one dog groomer in the entire world, or like dog, I don't really know what it is. Dog grooming showing, nothing to do with that. Okay. But like very, like number one in the world, and like trains, like she's just like very successful. But her job was traveling all over the world. Like she was always traveling, and obviously she couldn't anymore. So she's just like already has that success mindset of like, it doesn't matter. She ended up like doubling her income, creating an online business. Now she gets to stay home. She doesn't have to travel anymore. And it's just like only exploded ever since. She just bought a brand new car the other day, brand new laptop. Like all this stuff happened during COVID. Yeah. And I think that's just such a good testament to like, she could have been like, well, I guess like whatever, I can't work. I'll just like take the government money, which there's nothing wrong with that. And like just sit and chill, which you could also do that. Some of us really needed that break, but yeah, I just think it's like, what do you want? Are your thoughts focused on success, or are they focused on all the reasons why you're going to fail?
Yeah. And like, I think for a lot of people, the lockdown or whatever like what they needed was that time to relax and, you know, recuperate. But for a lot of people, they were disempowered. Like it wasn't what they chose, right? If you powerfully chose to take that time off for yourself, amazing. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's what you were calling forth. That's what you were meant to do at the time.
That was like Trevor. He was like, he was dying to have time off and a break, right. And like he got it and he was so happy.
Right, exactly. So that was what was important for him to honor. Mm-hmm. And he absolutely, you know, should take advantage of whatever support there was in place and all that kind of stuff. But if what you wanted was to continue growing and continue making money during this time or any time, mm-hmm. you get to choose that as well. There's this account that I follow on Instagram. It's called Go Clean Co. It's a cleaning company. She's actually out west somewhere, maybe in Alberta or something. Anyways, when COVID started, she had 10,000 followers on Instagram, and she was she was a cleaning company. So the whole thing got shut down, mm-hmm. but she started like focusing, she like started sharing all these videos of here's how I clean microwaves and and mm-hmm. she just last week had 1 million followers on Instagram. Like she blew up. She has like all these online products now. She's got like a Amazon store that people buy from. She has all these affiliations. Like she has built now a global empire in the last 6 months after being shut down from COVID.
That's
right?
Amazing.
Ooh, and that could not have happened if she was like, oh shoot, I have a cleaning company. Yeah. And you know, during this time I can't do anything. So we always have a choice, and it requires you to be open, and it requires you to let go of whatever excuse you'd like to hold on to, or whatever reason or objection is coming up for you as to why you know, you can't make this money at this time. Yeah. And for a lot of people, they hold on to it willingly, right? Because it's easier to just decide to be disempowered.
And it's really triggering. Like, even Lauren yesterday was like, you should sign up for this course with me. And I was like, no, like I can't afford it. And she was like, can you really not afford it? And I was like, okay, like I know you're using my own things like against me. It was very, it was so funny. I was talking to Trevor about it after, because I was like, I literally heard myself as like how I hear my clients, where I'm like fighting for my limitations. Like, right. You don't understand, Lauren. Like I spent this on everything last month. Like I can't do that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm hearing myself. I'm like, this is exactly what my clients do to me. And I'm like, why don't you just be open to it? Like, you don't need to explain why you can't. Start thinking about ways that you can. Yeah. And we get like really defensive. We're like, no, I can't. Like, this is how much money I make. Like we just don't want to be open to the fact that there are millions of opportunities for everyone. Even if you're in like, you don't need to be an entrepreneur. You don't need to be online. Like, there are so many ways that more money can come into your reality. And it's simply a matter of like being a vibrational match for the amount that you want, and allowing like the ideas to flow in and to like act on them.
Yeah, not closing off the opportunity or the possibility. And that was what I was saying to Tara yesterday. It was not like you need to sign up for this program. Yeah. Like it was like, why are you just immediately shutting down any possibility
Yeah.
right? Like,
Because I was feeling so triggered. I was
right,
like,
I know.
she doesn't get it. And then I realized what I was
I get it. Trust me, I get it.
I know.
And I'm just being like the devil's advocate because we all still have these like old, ways of thinking about money. I don't think like there's people that have manifested millions of dollars and we still always have some old patterns around money, like they're deep within there. But if you can recognize that when it comes up and shift into possibility, it doesn't mean that you need to go and spend a whole bunch of money that you don't have or anything like that. It just means choose the possibility or choose to let go of the excuses, I guess, or let go of what you're holding on to, and then just be open to what might come your way.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I think that's why it is so important to have friends that will, like Lauren, who are going to be like, what, like, why are you turning that down? Like, you can go for more. And like, she always pushes me to like raise my prices or whatever. And it's like, whereas other friends that I have are like, why would you even want that? Like, that's so excessive. It's like, they make me feel bad about my desires. Whereas Lauren's like, go bigger. Like, we need those people. Like, that is the point of a mastermind. And like, if you don't have those people in your life, you want to find them somewhere and surround yourself with them, because otherwise your success is going to be a lot more difficult.
My Magic.
Yeah.
I mean, My Magic is a community of people creating what they want, right? And letting go of that old story and letting go of the reasons why they might believe they can't do something or what other people are telling them and looking for the reasons why they can.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. We just had our 1 year. Maybe we'll share some stories next week.
Yeah. So that's our story of how, what are we calling this? How I manifested $25,000 in a month.
Sure. Yeah.
During COVID.
And my goal this month is 40K.
Mine's 50.
So hopefully
I'm nervous to put that out there,
we will be coming back to you guys. Our next YouTube video in a month is going to be how I manifested 40 and 50K months. Although now I feel like I should just go for 50 so we can just.
Okay. Yeah. Done. Do it.
Okay. And I think we should share like a quick little Rampage example of like how to feel into the vibration of money. So
yes.
How I usually do it is like, so I'm going to use 40K because that's what I've been practicing. And it's like, okay, oh my gosh, 40K, like that feels like so much freedom. That feels like excitement. That feels like I'm limitless. I can purchase like anything that I want. I feel like 40K to me means like manifestation definitely works. I'm so excited to share this with so many people. Like, what an amazing story. And I can go get my Range Rover and like I can pay Krista for like full-time hours, and how like I just took a quantum leap. I'm killing it. This is amazing. Like, that's kind of the feeling that you want to get into. Like, in that moment where you kind of saw my energy rise, like I was a vibrational match for $40,000. And that is how, the more you can get into that feeling, the faster it can come in. Would you say?
Yeah. So like just today, some of the things, because sometimes I'll do like a scripting Rampage, like what Tara just says. I do a lot of visualization for myself. But another thing that I do is I create content from the place of it already being done. Today, I did something I've never done before, which was record a podcast episode from like 2 weeks from now after it's done, talking about how it happened. And it was funny because in the beginning, I felt sort of stupid. And I was like, how do I tell a story of something that hasn't actually happened yet that I might potentially actually publish for people to listen to? But it was like, as soon as I started, I ended up talking for like 35 minutes. The other thing I felt called to do was write an Instagram post about it. And I can like see the picture in my mind and everything about, this 50K month and just how much we're lied to and around what we're capable of. And it's too long to read it, but it's a really like the whole time that I was writing it, I was in this vibe of like, I just did this and it felt amazing. And, I'm just showing people what's possible when like I'm a freaking art major. Everybody told me that I should expect this kind of life, but they were wrong. I was lied to, like, and just got like so into it. So I'm going to post it because it's going to be a 50K month. Yeah. Just like,
I wrote like Tara Burnett mindset hit $1 million. Like I actually posted that post, and then underneath I was like, this is an example of scripting. But so many people thought it was real. And even my friends were like, I posted an example of my scripting recently on my stories, and I was talking about how I got my Range Rover, and I was so excited. And I went to my friend's place the other day, and they're like, why are you driving your Honda? Like, where's your Range Rover? And I was like, I haven't got it yet. They're like, oh, I was reading your stories and I thought it was real. And I was like, oh, that's cute. But so you can do that in any way. Like me and Lauren really like visualizing. You can script it out. You can journal about it. You can do a rampage. You can like whatever way that feels good for you to just get into the feeling of it being done. Like that is such a powerful manifestation practice.
Yeah. And that's why like for me, it feels good to be creative, where I often write like an Instagram post for the future or
yeah, you've done that before too.
I have done that before. I used to do it. Okay. I used to do it when I was really struggling. After that. I used to do it when I was like I invested all this money in my business. I was in debt. My car kept breaking down. I kept having to like swipe my credit card for like another $800 that I didn't have because my car would not stop breaking down. Because again, I was like focused on not having money. So it just like kept going out. Like every 3 weeks there was something else. So I would write posts from like 6 months on, reflecting back to when I was like struggling so much and telling it from this place of just overcoming in like a really good, in like a powerful way of like thinking back to 6 months ago. I never could have imagined, how quickly I was able to go from such financial struggle to such financial abundance.
And literally look at you now.
And that happened. It happened.
Next week, like you just bought your freaking dream car. You're living in your dream apartment. You have your dream office. Like, it's like so cool to see.
It happens. So that's actually called like the fast forward method. It's really good for any kind of manifestation. But if you're like in struggle of any kind, like fast forwarding to when you're out of the struggle and you've seen at that point, and you're just making it up, but you've seen at that point how it resolved and how it's like not, and you're taking yourself out of the vibration, out of the energy of the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Another way that I like to do that is write a letter to myself from the future. So I'll put myself in the future and be like, Tara, like if I could tell you anything, and I've done this so many times. I remember, I actually should bring it up. I'll bring it up for Wine Wisdom Live tonight, but I wrote one of like, you're going to find your person. Like, don't worry. He's out there. Like, it's going to be so magical. You're going to be so happy that you like waited. Oh, I love it.
All right. So that was our first of many money episodes.
Yeah.
If you want to change your money story and change your money reality, join us inside Mind Magic. If you're watching this before September 1st, October 1st, 2020. What even year is it? I don't know.
Yeah, 2020.
What is time? I'm not sure.
Then you can join us for 3 months of Mind Magic.
We'll be opening up Mind Magic the last like 5 days or so of September. So you can opt into our freebie down below, and that way you'll be on our email list and you'll know when doors open.
Yeah.
Change your life. Change your story. Change your life.
Have a fabulous week. Mwah.
Yep.